And over to Rich.
So as we recognize all the great achievements by everyone, I'd say it's great to see all those coming in. So keep them coming in to Leslie. Rich and Bryn went to SAFE. SAFE is our Scaled Agile Summit, and a big effort is made, obviously, over the last year to really establish our understanding of Agile and how it fits in and what's a good framework for doing that. We selected SAFE. Rich and Bryn recently attended a global summit, and we wanted to provide inputs, feedback, and give you an idea of what's happening in the futures for SAFE. So, Rich, over to you if you're off mute.
Yeah, thanks, Dermot. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, sound good, Rich.
Okay, wonderful. I'm not sure if Bryn, if you got your audio situation resolved, but I'm going to move forward, Bryn.
I'm also sorted.
Wonderful. Wonderful, good job, buddy. So I'll take the lead here, Bryn, if you don't mind, and then at any point in time you need to correct me, please feel free. So let's see if we can advance the slides here. So what, where, and when. So as Dermot kind of set the stage here, Bryn and I had the privilege of attending the 2018 Global SAFE Summit. It was hosted, it says in Washington, D.C., however, it was about 10 miles outside of the city. The one thing that you'll notice there is it was actually sold out, a full house sold out event, which, kind of hints to the fact of how popular the Scaled Agile framework has become. The next slide that I'll show is we took a series of pictures, a number of pictures while we were there to bring the information back to P-Cubed. I see Brent and I kind of performing as the scouts, going and getting the latest and greatest information and bringing it back and integrating it into P-Cubed. So the thing that I'll bring to your attention first, and you'll notice I call this current state. As the current state of the Scaled Agile or SAFE is they have 300,000 SAFE trained professionals across 110 countries, which is pretty amazing. There are 200 Scaled Agile partners across 50 countries, and they are seeing or have seen 2 million annual visitors to the SAFE and Scaled Agile website. So just those stats alone just kind of show the current state of how popular this SAFE or the Scaled Agile framework has become. A real-time slide here, which shows the attendance and the certification stats. So as mentioned, over 1,500 people, 1,550 people in attendance from 500 companies. 30 different countries around the world. 99 different partners were present, P-Cubed being one of those. And then across the bottom, you can see the number of certifications that were held by the individuals that attended. The gentleman there in the picture is the current CEO of Scaled Agile.
So Rich, before you move off.
Yes, sir.
Before you move off, just go back one. So just to help people understand the journey. So the first summit was held 2 years ago, and that was 400 people. The next summit was last year, and that was 1,100 people, and that was also sold out. This year, in addition to the global summit, they also held their first regional summit. So just to add to that growth path. Okay, Rich, back to you.
Yeah. No, thanks, Brent. Thanks for the background on that, and it's that trajectory of growth, which is over the last just year alone, it's kind of been that hockey stick that we talk about, right? It's kind of spiking up. While we were there, you'll notice I call this one real time. While we were there, SAFE 4.6 went live. However, if you go to the normal Scaled Agile Framework website, it's still showing 4.5 for those of you that are eating, drinking, and breathing this stuff. To get to see the 4.6, I placed the URL here at the bottom, so you'll notice it's got 4.6 in front of it, so that you can go there and see the new version. But this is a snapshot of version 4.6, and not, to be quite honest, not a whole lot has changed. They have added 5 different what we'll call core competencies, and I've got these bulleted out here on the left, and those are represented on the big map by the newly added big circles, and these are what I would call newly added entry points. If you're interested in one of these areas more than the other, you would kind of click on that new option, and from there they've developed much more robust stories or use cases, if you will, to how to leverage the SAFE framework from that perspective. The other thing that's been added in SAFE 4.6 is there's now a component for government, applying within the government. And I think they must have been listening to some of our engineering agility courses, as there is now a portfolio canvas here as part of the portfolio level of the new version 4.6 of SAFE. So that's kind of brings you up to speed with real time. That's now out there. Also, another slight change to the roadmap is they've added a step here in their implementation roadmap, which allows organizations to depict their current state, and they've also added a number of new courses. Now, Bren, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it the third one down, the SAFE System and Solution Architect? Is that the one that's kind of has the engineering emphasis?
So it has some of the engineering. It is not yet the one that would tie into the one on the previous page, which was the Business Solutions and Lean Systems. So there's a course that's about to start to get developed that supports that one.
Perfect. Thanks for the clarification. We've got
but just
more detail on.
Yeah, and just to add while we're on the slide, so I know at least for SAFE for Government, I'm not sure about the other 3. I need to validate. But as SPZs, so Rich, myself, Luke, and others, we are able to teach at least the SAFE for Government course. Excuse me. SAFE for Government course once it gets published, which will be in the next week or 2. So if you think it's something beneficial from your client's perspective, that we've got other courses coming in that might be a better fit to where your clients are. So for example, I'm working with 2 government clients, so that one could be very helpful. Feel free to include it in the conversation.
Perfect. So one of the things that we did while we were there, we love the quotes that we hear. For those of you that have been through any of our training classes, you'll know that those seem to stick and resonate. I won't read through all of these. The one that I really liked was learn together, work together, and I'll probably be spouting that for quite some time to come. And then I think Bren's favorite quote was, "No one likes change except the wet baby," as that dovetails right nicely into his presentation that he gave while we were there. The other thing, the next slide that we've got talks about shows you a listing of different books that were recommended from various presentations. These are following the lifelong learner concept that's promoted from Scaled Agile. These are some books that if you're looking to get to that next level, there's some topics here that can help you out. The picture on the right is a picture that we took there of basically a job board. So don't realize the information that we're showing you, teaching you, sharing with you is a very relevant information and sought after by a lot of people. So just so you're aware.
And just before you go into the picks, so on those books, we obviously, as we go through the different SAFE courses, we do reference a number of different books that we recommend. Some are maybe more academic than others. The first 4 on this list, the first 5, because there's 2 for Geoffrey Moore, They're all very accessible. The one by Don is a little harder. Even Dean Leffingwell, who's the chief methodologist for Scaled Agile, jokes that he keeps reading it every year and learns a little bit more, but he hasn't quite mastered it yet. But the one at the top, the Phoenix Project, is one that if you haven't read any on this list, you must read that one. It's written as a novel, and it just takes you through the journey. The others on here, I would still recommend being strongly needed, but the first one is very accessible, and it'll just help you to understand the move towards efficiency, lean thinking, DevOps, in a very accessible way.
Perfect. So we tossed in some pics that we took while we were there. There's a picture of how we represented P-Cubed across all of those visitors. Of course, I was doing some social media promotion out there with the new roadmap, some of the goodies that they gave us. My first shot there. Now I'm going to pause right here because this picture you may look at and say, "What on earth is that?" So that is a picture from the a venue that we were at. What's in the water is an airplane on a barge, and I missed it as it happened. But when I came back in later that day, they actually moved that airplane off the barge. This is an older version of Air Force One that I believe they are setting up that people can tour at least up to. I'm not sure about going into. So I thought that was cool to throw in here. The next slide that I've got, this is one that I found it really interesting. This was presented by one of the organizations that have implemented Scaled Agile or SAFe. I think they said they were actually on their 8th time, but they've got it actually working and integrated this time. The thing that I thought was pretty cool from this, and it's very difficult to see, but they referenced ADKAR quite a few times and how they leveraged ADKAR, the ADKAR model, which is the kind of underpinnings of change management, and they actually incorporated the ADKAR model into this implementation roadmap. As you can see, they could say, instead of awareness, they say general, but desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another topic I wished I could have been a part of was this PMBOK versus SAFe. I thought that was really interesting. I think there's a good article there. And then here, while we were there, Brent actually delivered a presentation, one of the lightning talks. It drew in probably close to 25 people, 30 people. However, Brent, I'd like to publicly apologize to you. I had one job, my friend. I had one job, and I let you down. This picture is not from that event, and I neglected to take his picture, so I had to insert a substitute.
That's all right, Rick.
Real quick. Yeah, real quickly, kind of looking out into the future. There was a great presentation. The picture on the right kind of shows the timeline of trajectory of how things have been going, from lean manufacturing to waterfall to agile. They're saying in the 2000s, and then lean startup is where we're at today. Again, I think maybe somebody was listening in on some of our engineering agility courses. That's right where we're at in that topic. Also, kind of talking about the future trends. The portfolio canvas is now integrated. Business agility was hot. Any topic there at the event that referenced business agility, there was quite a crowd around that. Safer Executives was another presentation which had a full house. Safer Government, definitely a change enabler. We still see some opportunity in the space of cultural change management. And then that lean systems engineering course is in the works as we kind of referenced a moment ago. Brent, is there anything that you'd like to add to this slide? Because this is kind of like where the future is headed to.
It is. So I think it's worth looking at the journey, but ignoring the dates on the right. So the dates might be when that practice came into being. That does not mean that your clients obviously are working in that space in that period. For example, in the Bay Area and on the West Coast, we've still got many, many clients in the waterfall space just tiptoeing into Agile, and it's now 2018. But that is generally the journey, and there's a lot of information that we've talked about during this deck and just out there available anyway that supports that journey. So help our clients move on that journey, and the engineering agility course, which will be rolled out shortly, if you haven't already been on it, just supports that journey. So we're here to help our clients move.
And Brent, I'll let you continue on with this next slide, as this is I believe this is the topic we kind of hinted at earlier.
Yeah, so this is, when Rich was speaking on about the fifth slide, there was around the different 5 competencies, 1 on the bottom and then 4 down the right. One of the 4, the life solution level, was the business solutions and lean systems engineering core competency. So this one is presented as a core competency, but there's currently no training course behind it. So we are in discussions with Scaled Agile to see if we can jointly work with them to build that course out. Because at the same time, albeit this is a tie to Scaled Agile, there's a parallel to our engineering agility course.
And my ad on this slide is the gentleman in the picture there is Dean Leffingwell, who is the originator, creator of Scaled Agile. And what's his title, Brian? How's he title himself?
His official title is Chief Methodologist.
There we go. Cool. So the next slide, just so you know, all of the presentations that were presented at the SAFE Summit are available to you, any of you that we're speaking to, via the URL that's on this slide, so you can have access to all of those. And then this next slide was kind of talking about the future, and in a future showcase, we, Brian and I and others are going to do a couple of different things. I think in the next showcase, we are going to do a little presentation on the P-Cubed journey of applying Agile to tell that story. And then beyond that, we're going to recruit some other engagements or teams to kind of tell their story about how they've taken the information that they've learned through some of our SAFE training courses and actually have been applying that within their engagements. And so with that, I thought it would be fitting. I thought this video clip right here would be most fitting for that topic. And if I could get a little help there, maybe we could restart that with audio, because the audio is the coolest. If somebody could be the hands for me, I seem to have a little bit of a delay here.
The phone line was muted, Rich. Hold on.
He has one job.
Show me the money! Show me the money! Show me the money! Show me the money!
So guys, that's me. After delivering all this training and transferring all this knowledge, and when I get back to the hotel, you know, I'm hoping that after these other engagements will come in and show us the money. Basically, show us how you've taken all this knowledge and applied it practically to help your current clients. So with that, that's the end of my spiel, and I say. Thank you very much, and go forth and be safe.
So,